Good afternoon, everyone. This Township of Selwyn regular council meeting of June the 24th, 2025 will come to order. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mishi-Sageg Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Please observe a moment of silence so that council, staff, and members of the public can quietly reflect on our duty to the community that we are trying to serve. Thank you. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of council, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. I would ask that all comments, questions, and answers be directed through me as the chair. This includes public, staff, and council members. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, please note that in the minutes. We have our minutes before us of June the 7th, June the 10th, and the special meeting of June the 17th. Everyone had a chance to look at them. There's no errors or omissions. Can I have someone move them? Moved by Deputy Mayor Black, seconded by Councillor Boyko. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Is there any discussion out of the minutes? Seeing none, we have a very nice dedication that we're going to do now. Our Selwyn resident Patty Latour has won an Ontario Senior of the Year award. This award recognizes seniors over 65 for their efforts to enrich the social, cultural, and civic life of their community. Patty was nominated by her peers and council and chosen by the province as one of the recipients of this year's award. Patty leads the operations of the Bridgenorth Food Bank. Her dedication and willingness to lend a hand in every aspect of the weekly operations ensure the food bank runs both efficiently and with heart. She's also involved in many more things, but we only have so many hours in the council meetings, so we'll leave it at that. I would ask that you come up. We've got a couple of presentations, and if council can join me for a photo. Yeah, please. And let's do this one first. Okay. Okay. So, Dave Smith couldn't be here today, but he has asked that I present this on his behalf. As the member of provincial parliament for Peterborough Kawartha, I'd like to thank you for all you do for the seniors in our community. Your generosity and compassion and continued support has made a difference in the lives of so many seniors, strengthened and enriched their daily lives. On behalf of the province of Ontario, best wishes and thank you. Sincerely, Dave Smith. Thank you. You're welcome. Just this or the other? The other one. All right. Okay. Thank you. This is special. 2025 Senior of the Year Award presented to Patty Latour by the municipality of the Township of Selwyn in recognition of your outstanding contributions after age 60. Who put that in there?
Why do they have to have that?
Yeah, that strengthen and protect our communities. And it's presented by us to you, Patty. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again for all you do. All right, so we have question period now. Is there any question, Madam Clerk, that has come in from the public?
Nothing was submitted online.
All right, we'll move on to our municipal officers and staff reports. And first, we're going to hear from Lane Vance about the asset management report, final plan adoption.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, so I won't say too many words about the report. We have just had our special meeting on June the 14th. Had a chance with council for the morning to go over the report. Of course, as I outlined there, the work on the plan is never really done. So we're continuing to do work on the fleet analysis for Public Works. We'll have an analysis and a strategy to present to council at some point. We have a parks asset inventory, which is just going through some ground proofing right now. Streetlight asset inventory, same situation. And then, of course, always trying to make progress on our confidence and completeness chart. So the report is attached there for council approval. Any other questions? And then the recommendation is provided to council to adopt the plan for this year and carry on our work.
All right, so I'm sure council has had a chance to look it over. We did spend quite a bit of time with our special meeting. Are there any questions that you have? Councillor Boyko.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Sinis. At our special meeting on the 14th, I brought up the notion of in talking about sidewalks, I brought up the idea of trails. And I notice in this iteration of the plan, trails are still not there. Perhaps it could be explained how and when trails, which are a township asset, will be a part of our asset management plan.
Sure. Thanks. Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, as outlined on the plan, really a parks asset inventory is still kind of in the works for sure. That's actually come along fairly quickly from Mike and his staff. I would suggest the trails would probably be included underneath that, but we still are going through our inventory review. So I think we all are familiar with where the trails are, but in terms of getting it in a plan, some type of criteria, an overview of our maintenance, the schedule for repairs, and then a level of service that we need to present to council. So that's definitely a work in progress. I definitely have that noted on our work plan moving ahead. I would think that the parks asset inventory, we should be able to provide that later this year to get it in the 2025 year. If possible, we'll try to get the trails in then too, but probably that'll be part of our 2026 plan update.
Excellent. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Knowing that this has to be submitted by July the 1st, I'm looking for someone to move the recommendation. Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Koulos. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to the municipal support resolution protocol for utility installations. Pear.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be brief as well. The reason to initiate this protocol is primarily geared towards the LT2 program of the IESO. I'll get into that a little bit, but it can also be carried forward into the future for any private or public utilities looking to receive municipal support resolutions in support of their project. The LT2 program is an initiative, a request for a proposal that's still in draft as of May 15th. But the independent electricity system operator is initiating this program in order to build future capacity for electricity generation and storage throughout the province to meet future demand. The protocol is geared specifically toward that program as a result of the fact that under this program, the proponents are required to receive a municipal support resolution. Otherwise, they will not be eligible for the LT2 program. So there's some steps outlined in the protocol, as well as information requirements that staff have discussed and that we would be looking to receive in order to review a particular project and in order to be able to make a recommendation to council regarding whether or not a support resolution should be rendered. that's generally the intent of the protocol, and happy to take any questions about it.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Sennis. Thanks for the report. Is this consistent with other municipalities? I know there's obviously a protocol before because we've had the request before council and councils dealt with it in the past under a previous non-policy or non-approach. Is it consistent with other municipalities around us?
I would say there's variable approaches out there with regard to other municipalities. There is the option under the LT2 program to issue a blanket approval that any utility installations would be blanket approved in advance. The recommendation under our protocol is that this township would not be doing that. We'd be doing site-specific approvals, municipal support resolutions. There are other municipalities that are doing similar, the various protocols similar to ours. Some may not have tackled this issue as of yet, right? That'll just be doing it like we did last fall. We're just kind of reactionary decision making, right? We're trying to not to do that, try and have something in place where we have some kind of logical method to the madness, right? I would say that the leading municipality, as far as I've seen, that has really tackled this issue is the city of Ottawa, that has gone through a number of processes, including a policy, official plan amendment, zoning amendment, site plan bylaw amendments to specifically deal with this issue. At this point in time, just in discussion at the staff level here, we think this protocol is likely sufficient for the municipality just to have a good procedure in place, that we know what information we're going to be seeking, something we can provide to proponents for these utility installation so that they're aware of what we're looking for. Just in the discussions with a few of the proponents, there are 2 or 3 of them out there that are looking for this protocol currently, because I've advised that, you know, we're creating this. They're actually very thankful to have something that they can look at and review, because they're not really sure either what's expected. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I definitely support the process. It's always a concern around how much time it would take for us to get through the application and review it, you know, from a time perspective. But I know when the 3 sites came to us last year, it was challenging trying to make decisions around which one to support and which one not to support. So I support moving forward with this process. Thank you.
Would you like to move the recommendation? Moved by Deputy Mayor Black, seconded by Councillor Koulis. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to Brighton Erdman with an updated special events bylaw. Brighton, you got a microphone?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. As council will recall, an update to the Township Special Events Bylaw is part of the 2025 work plan for the Corporate and Community Services Department. Currently, the Township's Events for Hire or Gain Bylaw, commonly known as the Special Events Bylaw, Bylaw 2002-60, is over 23 years old and no longer reflects the current municipal act, regulatory requirements, or licensing considerations applicable to special events. This new special events bylaw has been carefully developed and thoroughly reviewed over the past 6 months. It focuses on future events and includes exemptions for many existing community events, all the while providing a modern framework for licensing special events moving forward. I'm happy to take any questions on the bylaw.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Hendon.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Sennis. Bryden, thank you for revising and updating the bylaws associated with the fee and fine structures here. My question is, I'm wondering if there should be a multiplier added on repeat offenders, similar to our SCRs, where fines double for every infraction. So it possibly apply to where we see a multi-day event and every day they're not stepping up to any investigation or any complaints that are received.
Through you, Mayor. So there is a repeat offense provision under the Provincial Offences Act built into the enforcement portion of this bylaw. We have not included a schedule of fines just for the sake of simplicity, but I'd have to refer back to the bylaws, what section it is, but there's that provision that if you commit an offense today, we issue you a part one, for instance, and we come back tomorrow and it hasn't been resolved, we can issue another part one. So we haven't created a structure where the fine's $100 today, it's 200 tomorrow, it's 500 the third time, just out of simplicity's sake.
Thank you. And follow up through you, Mayor Senes. Reading through it, I did see that there is the natural requirement for having the certificate for insurance. I didn't see anywhere where it stated what the minimum public liability would be for the event holder.
I believe it's under, actually, I'll tell you what section. 1 second, please. Section 11 of the bylaw outlines minimum limits of protection per occurrence. So it's $10 million for special events, which include amusement devices, motor vehicle races, demolition derbies, or speed demonstrations. Limit of $10 million per occurrence for a special event, which includes an AGCO or Alcohol Gaming Commission of Ontario license or permit with an anticipated attendance of 2,500 people or more. And then every other special event is a limit of protection of $5 million.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Brian? Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Senes. Yeah, thanks for this report and bylaw. I think it's timely. Councillor Henry talked about fines and I'm looking at number 40 saying the township can apply the fine to the tax roll. A lot of the folks putting on these events aren't necessarily selling taxpayers, and it's not on their property, it's on our property. Is there a deposit required if it's not on their property that would cover potential fines?
Through you, Mayor. Yes, there is a security deposit requirement in the bylaw. We haven't specified what that security deposit is because every event's going to be different. Sections 40 and 41 are really for the owners of the property who have consented or supported the application or the event taking place on their premises. So they have some skin in the game, if it were. The reason we have included set fines and then the ability to go through Part 3 of the Provincial Offences Act are for those event organizers that aren't residents or property owners within the township.
Thank you.
So before I ask for the vote, just want to give you an anecdotal thing. I was with a couple of classrooms this past week at Chemung Public School where the students were all giving me a wish list as to what they'd like to see happen in the community. One of them wanted Formula One racing through our streets. I just thought you would find that a little bit humorous. I did. Anyways, I'll ask for the vote now. Can I have someone move the recommendation? Councillor Boyko, seconded by Deputy Mayor Black. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Mike Richardson, we will be hearing from you on the facility time allocation policy. Mike.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll spend a bit more time going through all of this than I normally would, just because it is 10 years in the making. And it is something that not only do we put a great deal of time into in my department every year, but we have a lot of user groups and residents who it affects. So as many of you will know, we did do a facility time allocation policy 10 years ago, back in July of 2015. And we've had discussions over the last few years, but in March, we had somebody come forward who had asked us to look at it again, because for the past 10 years, we meet every year with the user groups in the spring. We take all the requests, we negotiate back and forth and make sure that if somebody has had a time, they as legacy or history. I'm not a big fan of grandfathering, so we'll try and get rid of that term. But the legacy part of the policy or of the procedure was how we would determine. And then if somebody had smaller numbers or somebody wasn't going to be using something, then we would make sure that we maximize the ice time. We've very successfully, especially in the last couple of years, been as close to 100% prime time hours sold as we could. given that there are occasionally weather events or other things that, that reduce it slightly. And as most of you will remember, the OHL, the OMHA helped a great deal by reforming how they run their season, so it doesn't end in January for 50% of the kids. With it going through till March, it really helped keeping the arenas full. So March 11th comes around and we've got the presentation from the EMHA where we were asked by council to develop a facility allocation policy, which, as you'll see from the report, is going to be referred to as an ICE allocation, or we're recommending referring to as an ICE allocation policy, because any of the negotiating, any of the scheduling challenges are not in soccer fields, are not in the river den. They are with the ice. When the arena is in, or when the ice is in the arena, that's when we have lots of requests. And it's great to be full, but at some time we have to tell somebody that that they can't use the ice if we've got too many requests. So council had asked us to meet with the youth groups and make sure that what we were hearing from the EMHA was 100% accurate, that all youth groups felt the same, and that they were all interested in the creation of a ICE allocation policy. We did that in April, and not surprisingly, we came back with consensus from the youth groups that they would love to have access to some of the earlier times. And then we sent a survey out to make sure we were hearing exactly right, because if we're going to make recommendations, we want to make sure that they are correct, especially on something that could be a little volatile. And then finally, we had a facilitated session with the Monteith Brown Consulting being the host of it, or the mediator, and we had all of the groups there, youth, adult, every group that rents time on a regular basis. The things that came out of it were that the challenges and conflicts really are in ICE booking. So why were we trying to include within the policy something that could talk about sports fields and could talk about facilities and indoor facilities? So that was the first thing that was pretty evident. And that even if we did have an ICE allocation policy, there's not enough hours to justify another arena, but there's too many hours for us to fulfill everybody's wish list. Even if right now we have just under 90% of our ice time being used by youth, probably a little over 90%. If we talk about the ice that gets handed back once some of the men's traveling leagues give back their time. So we're talking about 90% of it going to youth right now. We would need a great deal more primetime ice, which, there's only one way to do that, to fulfill what they're actually, what they would actually desire, from 2 to about 3.5 hours, depending on age, length of games, and level of competition. In general, the youth groups did not want, we really didn't have many of the groups, one really, that would have been in favor of completely displacing the adult groups, i.e. taking time from them. The overwhelming support was in moving times around, so that if I have a Wednesday night booking at 7 o'clock and a youth group wants me to play at 10 o'clock, they can make that request or move me back to a later time. That was pretty overwhelming in the feedback, so that adults still got their time within the prime time block, which we consider to be reasonable time. Some people might like 8 o'clock over 10 o'clock, but what the idea was that nobody that has current time would be moved outside of the current prime time hours, not beyond 11 o'clock, if a request was made for the time by an established youth group. Obviously the groups that get affected the most by this are the EMHA, the LDMHA, the EGHA, and the Chiefs. When we talk to the LCS, the Lakefield College School, or when we talk to Lakefield Skate Club or the Optimist, they were all quite happy with the way we were doing it because they have enough time. It's in the primetime block, but they have enough time for doing everything they want to do with their bookings. So there was some concern when we spoke to the adult groups that it might affect the number of people that want to play if they were moved to the latest of the primetime blocks, which for us is 10 o'clock. So that needs to be noted. There was also a lot of talk about using time which doesn't fall within our prime time window, but is still very usable by a lot of the youth groups, 7 a.m., 4 p.m., and making sure that we maintained enough control of how we allocate ice so that we could still have some negotiating power. It wasn't just this is the way we're going to do it. So you'll notice that in the policy, it does say it's always going to be about maximizing time, making sure that we're not cannibalizing business. We don't want to all of a sudden lose every 10 o'clock booking, which means now we've just lost 12%, 13% of our revenues just by losing all of those. And that's just not, it's not good for our business and certainly not good for the health of the arenas. But that we will look at a policy that considers any requests by 16 and under of the youth groups for adults to continue to have their time, continue to have the same day, but move to the latest slot that is available when requested. Obviously, there's some things that were equally important to maintain our business is that ice once allocated. So again, I don't want to make presumptions. We don't only meet with the groups, but once September rolls around and they sign their contract for the ice, that is their ice for the year. We want to maintain contract ice for the year as we have. Now it's till the middle of March. But we also want to make sure that they're reminded that through the policy that there isn't any turning back ice. That doesn't mean that they don't contact Amy or contact me and say, we're not going to be able to use 6 till 8. We've got a major tournament or we've got something going on. Can we sell it to another group? And if it gets sold to another group, then they don't get charged for it. But other than that, if a group is booked 3 hours on Wednesday for the entire season, it's their financial and booking responsibility, because we can make recommendations when it comes to booking, but we can't book for the groups. It's really not our choice as to when they put which teams on the ice. Logically, you would think that the younger ones would be a little earlier, but that literally has nothing to do with what we're allowed to control or with what we have any influence over. If there's any questions at all, which I'm sure there will be, I think that covers the report. And then the ice allocation policy, obviously, I'm sure there'll be questions about that as well.
Thank you. So. Yep, Councillor Clueless.
There you, everyone's chicken. So my initial reaction is that this is very youth oriented, which is fine. It speaks to the demographic. It speaks to the user groups coming forward. But the policy itself, I think we should use the word accommodating instead of inclusive, because we are focusing on youth so much more than other demographics. And then a follow-up question is the groups that are identified. It says there's only 6 identified and they're all youth groups. So were other user groups, adult user groups, part of this conversation?
Sorry, that's user groups under the category of minor sport organizations.
Right.
So that's the only reason they're the only ones listed is because that's specifically their heading. Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, my sincere apologies. That is a subsection of minor sport organization only. That's not all it wouldn't be alphabetically in that place if it was different. We can make that clear by maybe unbolding it or, yeah, we could call it minor MSO user groups. Or minor, we could even put the whole thing in there, minor sports organization user groups, but yeah, sorry, that was unclear.
Is it kind of a follow-up question to that then is, do we need to identify the other groups if we're identifying minor in the definitions? Like, is it helpful for operation on your end?
We certainly could. There's no reason we couldn't. But I guess that's a question. Do you think it would be more helpful to have them all? We do under seasonal clients, we do say user groups that use a town arena facility on a weekly basis, adult hockey, pickup hockey groups. That would be a place where we could put user groups there.
I'm just thinking from like an operational point of view. I don't know if it's helpful to like be really descriptive with how complex and the history of this. So I just wanted to make sure that if we were going to do it, we do it. If not, I think it's more of a, I don't have the answer for that. I was just curious.
Through you, Madam Mayor, under legacy status, it might actually help.
Sure.
But sorry, leave it with the seasonal clients, but because legacy status, somebody might say, well, who is in that legacy? That it might make a difference.
And yeah, I have a friendly recommend, oh my gosh, what am I saying? A friendly amendment. I'm gonna say recommendation. Because of the complexity of this and the history, I'm suggesting that we actually pilot it for a year instead of fully implementing it, just because I feel like there's going to be learning curves in this. And I just don't know what the ripple effects are going to be from all user groups. So my friendly change is that we actually scrap the second paragraph and put be implemented for the 2025-2026 as a pilot process, followed by a report to council and thereafter be considered for institution by council.
Right. So is there a seconder to this amendment? Councillor Henry? Discussion on the amendment? If not, I'll call the vote. Is that discussion or in favor? Okay, all in
He's getting ready.
favor of the amended recommendation. That is carried. Thank you. Are we clear, staff, on what we're? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you. What? We've just passed it. So we passed the recommendation amended. Yeah, it was an amended recommendation, so it's been passed. Now, if you want to talk about it. Yeah.
And then you have to approve the motion.
No,
It didn't come forward as a motion to amend. It was a friendly amendment. So typically when council does a friendly amendment, it just becomes the motion. Yes.
okay. We will move on. Consent items. I have number 610 has been requested to pull it by Councillor Henry. Councillor Henry, do you want to speak to?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Senes. Just bringing it up, my notes. This letter was written to council, or sorry, written by the council of the Township of Black River Matheson regarding the mandatory firefighter certification requirements that were recently passed under the Ontario Regulation 343-22, which does recognize the importance of firefighter training and safety. But as it stands, it does not adequately reflect the operational realities of our small rural municipalities and our volunteer firefighters. As we heavily rely on our volunteers, the fire department challenges that they're facing with recruitment, training, accessibility, and the financial constraints, this will only exacerbate it. without any additional support or flexibility or exemption mechanisms implemented by the province on this regulation, we will severely see our firefighters and our ability to provide consistent, timely, and effective fire protection to our residents compromised. I do fully support this letter going forward, or the letter of resolution brought forward by Black River Matheson. I believe we should write a letter as well, making sure that it goes to all the same individuals, being the Sole Gen or Solicitor General, the Premier, but also Dave Smith and AMO for the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. We do have a delegation already going or requested at AMO with the Solicitor General regarding this. Hopefully it gets approved, and if not, I suggest that then we have a delegation lined up to present to Roma as well, to make sure that this stays at the forefront of our provincial leaders, because this could have huge impacts on the way that we operate. Through you, Mayor Senes, Chief Joplin is here today. I don't know if he wants to speak to this at all.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, definitely. So again, as you know, our capital budgets are going over the limit now for fire. Let alone our operations are they're going to triple, quadruple if we have to have a lot of these things done by 2028. So again, we have been grandfathered into some of these, but right now it's finding it's so onerous. Even our firefighters, we've started a couple instructor and officer courses, and we've had more than 4 or 5 opt out after they see the onerous deal they have to put with. So let alone hazmat, we've got our new recruits. They'll have 72 hours to put in there that we gotta have to pay for, a little over. That's just over and above the cost of and the time that they put in for the firefighter 1 and 2. Instructor course is 52 hours, and that's 20 hours online, 32 class. And it's between that and the officer, it's like a university course, stuff they have to do in it. So it's not a trade anymore, and it's getting the owners. Where again now, safety officer, 60 hours. We have to have a number of safety officers on scene, especially a big scene, to, you know, that their job is probably one of the senior officers to keep moving around, make sure everybody's safe. Big one coming up is our water and ice rescue and the tech rescue, which none of the tech courses we've been grandfathered from. So that means, you know, from maybe the 85 firefighters we have now that are do ice water rescue, whether we go down to 60 or we go into the SRU in the county. And there's the options, we're looking at that, but even the SRU is finding it onerous because every one of those were trained for all the different functions in tech rescue, have to literally start over. So the Darrell Dummer chief is pulling his hair right now, trying to figure out what to do and where to go with this. So just for instance, so we did a little bit on the cost of ice water rescue. So if we did 60 firefighters, start all over again, God forbid, 90 hours at the cost, what we pay them now is $133,000, let alone $800 a piece plus $65 the OFC for the course cost for each firefighter. So another $52,000. So it's getting to the point of ridiculous. And pump ops is another one that we have to start signing a lot of people up. A good chunk of our firefighters before 2022 were kind of grandfathered in. I like that part. It's going to stay with this part with them. And yeah, so anybody new, and we probably got since 2022, we'll have 12 to put through. So here's another $450 cost per person. Plus, this is another 80-hour course. So this is 40 online and 40 hours classroom time. So what it comes down to is this is either going to be offered maybe, and it could be in Cavan, could be here, or it could be Grant Lakes, or most likely down in Norwood. So it's that time down and back and forth. But this is taking more time away from the families that are finding it struggling to family time, work time, and then the part that they love to get into or wanted to get into is this firefighting thing. So it's taken away from us. So like I say, we've got people just backing off from these courses, and we have to have instructors, we have to have officers, they have to take these courses now. So what happened is the OFC in their wisdom decided it doesn't matter. We'll just lump it all under one. So under the rural thing with the pump ops course, why not gear it to a rural setting? So we have to find water, we have to preserve water, we put it on. We don't necessarily have anything over 3 and 4 stories, and that's probably 3/4 of the rural population. Different if you're in the city. If you're a full-time firefighter, you have time to do this. They have full-time adjunct instructors on their own departments, can literally do all this in-house. So they don't have to hire anybody else in or anything else. So this is where Peter on that, they're done their wastewater rescue training because they have the time to do it. They have their own instructor that can actually sit down and they do the course themselves. So here our people have to do individual, show how to do this when they come down to the testing. And ice water rescue, we have to hire a pool. They have to go swim for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes and show they can dog paddle without their hands. We don't swim, we float and we're tied off. So that's a little different boat. So there's a lot of things here that need to be changed. And no, sorry, there's a lot of them that have left the Ontario Fire Marshal's office because there was no thought into that. So they need to look at this. I have no problem with certification. Let's do it on a basis where it gives our firefighters a chance to do it over time. And the 26 is coming up next year for some of them, 28 is coming right behind it for the tech rescue. So it's onerous and it's going to cost an municipality a fortune. It is now. So
the question to you is this letter that has gone from the township of Black River Matheson to the fire marshal's office, the wording of it, are you okay with all?
yeah, so it kind of covers everything through there, Mayor. So again, too, it's covering, it's covering the small, the rural, which is we are, and the northern municipalities, which find it extremely difficult. I'm going to say probably from Minden North, they don't have availability to get there. One of our firefighter captains, Mike Goebel, which works for the OFC. Now he does a lot of training and he's rewriting a lot of the curriculum again. So, and he's been to the north and it's just unbelievable that they'll never catch up. We're in pretty good shape, but it's still going to cost us a fortune if we can get the people to do these hours. The owners.
All right, I don't know if there are any other questions, but Councillor Henry is asking that this letter be supported and that we send our own letter under our own letterhead to the fire marshal's office. So I'm looking for a seconder for that.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Boyko. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We have the rest of the consent items before us. I need a mover for those. Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Poulos. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. That includes yours. Okay. And now we're at other new and unfinished business. Anything anyone else to bring forward? Councillor Henry.
Maybe out of turn, but I do have a question for Chief Joplin based upon what he was saying.
Oh.
Or I can save it for after.
Yeah, save it for after. We passed.
Yeah.
No other new business? So the bylaws, I guess, Madam Clerk, with the exception of Hello. That was weird. As I hope it's been on all this time, Tanya. Oh. Okay, all right, so we have these bylaws before us, someone to move them? Deputy Mayor Black, Councillor Coolidge is seconding, all in favor, that is carried, confirming bylaw. Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Coolidge, all in favor, that is carried, thank you, adjournment. Councillor Henry, Deputy Mayor Black, seconding, all in favor, that is carried, thank you, have a good afternoon. Yeah, was there something you wanted to change?